So I mentioned your social media before, Monty, and one of the things you had posted a while back was about when you were an intern and how one of the things you learned was that you had to keep plucking things out. So it was the less is more theory.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
from, Jude, I'll throw this question to you first as the supervising animation supervisor. What are some of those things that you're looking for that when you're going around with folks? Obviously, you're not working inherently with interns on Soul, but are there common things that you're finding to say pull it back, less is more, or what are some of those things that you're finding in your role?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things we would try to be to keep very clear, and this comes a lot from Pete, is this idea of like your phrasing and having those beats be very separate and distinct so that the audience can read them, and so if there's, like Monty is alluding to, if there's too much going on, it can sometimes feel muddled. But if you kind of take out some of those sort of mini beats and just have the phrases very clear, it just helps it read better, and it helps the subtext and the thought process really come across a lot clearer to the audience. So that was something that we found Pete would mention a lot, and we in turn would also bring it up too.
Fantastic. So Bobby, with your experience level and how long you've been there, one of the things I wanted to touch base on, just so that way we can pass it along to our viewers, listeners, and so on and so forth, is about that definition between the animation supervisor and directing animator role.
Yeah.
Can you clarify that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, this is, and this is something every studio has their own unique naming and whatnot. But the supervising animators, what Jude and I held on this role, kind of oversee the entire animation group on the film, and the directing animators sit kind of just under that, and are really there, kind of elbow to elbow, handcrafting things with a lot of the animators. And what's fun about this is Pixar's first supervising animator on Toy Story was Pete Docter. So I think that's kind of exciting, which also means when you're in dailies, that guy knows everything that you are doing, everything, and he can probably do it better than you.
I'll shift over to Monty now. So you had talked about in your presentation yesterday about the moment with watching John Batiste's reference footage, then pulling in the MIDI into the animation, and then doing the actual animation of the hands over the top of that. I know that obviously, like with Coco and other films, they made sure that those notes were really accurate. I don't know if that was done before within Pixar, the MIDI side of it. That sounded super cool to me. So can you expand on that a little bit?
Definitely. And feel free, Bobby, Jude, to chime in too. From my understanding, as we were working, when the animators opens up their shot, that is like the real recording finalization of John Batiste's, music. And with that, we're able to import that into the animation software. I can't really speak about the other animators' experience, but I do know that groundwork of having the music was already set up for us. And we had to do, well, I'm probably overly simplifying it, was just match it and try to make it even better. And that's a tough bar to hit, especially if it's John Batiste, right? You can't have a lot to live up to. So
we really wanted to make sure that we got every note right, so the people who could play the piano watching would be able to see that. And we took a lot of reference from multiple angles of the hands, but of course his fingers are like lightning, and even the motion blur, you frame through it and you couldn't tell which key he pressed, and so we really needed a way of knowing that. And so all of that music that he wrote and played was taken down into MIDI, and then one of the character artists figured out a way of feeding that into the piano so that the keys would light up, so that we could have that visual representation of which key was being pressed. And it's fast, but at least we knew, it just kind of helped with that extra level of authenticity and accuracy.
That's so cool. I mean, that is really neat. And he's got those long piano player spider fingers that are just all over the place.
Yeah.
So jealous. So jealous. Jude, you talked about filming reference footage. You showed a clip, I think it was of Jay Kim doing some of his. We were at a Pixar like one of those animator master classes with Van Arts like that from 2012 or something like that. And Andrew Gordon was presenting at that. He mentioned that sometimes, people might rely a little too much on the reference footage instead of just going with the soul, the gut of it. Mm-hmm. So obviously with the 2D counselors, there probably wasn't as much of an ability, though correct me if I'm wrong, to do some of that reference footage. And there was just really, really cool stuff. Like where one of the counselors, laughs and the belly has like those ripple lines and everything. Like, how did you guys, because not only how do you tackle that, but then how does the reference footage play into that?
Yeah, I mean, I probably have to speak to some of the people at Animators Council, but I think, they probably would still do reference if they needed to, because it's still, a human-like character, gesturing, emoting, talking, thinking. And you can draw from that, the, poses or gestures, etc. What was fun about the counselors was that they could kind of be anything. So within, the rules of the world that we created, it was just fun for animators to be able to you see the shot where Terry's counting on the abacus and she has multiple arms that just appear out of nowhere, and that wasn't something that, I think that came from either the storyboard artist or the animator, but she says, you blinked 5 times, 6, and another finger comes out, and it's like, because we had this rig that could kind of do anything. So it sort of left the animator with this really fun extra level of what else can I do to make this even more cool?
Yeah, and these animators, there's so many animators and they have so many different approaches to crafting a performance, right? Some are the reference, some just design it from scratch, as they go. So there's a lot of different ways, just as actors have a lot of different ways of approaching, how they're gonna, find a character on stage or on screen or whatever. Same exact thing. There's a lot of different ways.
Awesome. All right. Well, I got the hand wave in the virtual sense, so I appreciate the time, and I certainly love being able to chat with you guys again. And next time I'm at the studio, I hope to bump into you as well.
Yeah,
nice to see you.
Definitely.